Oops. Welcome back, everybody, to the HiFi Summit Day 4. I was about to say Day 3, and I'm like, wait a second. I wasn't here
That was
yesterday.
yesterday.
Yeah, Day 4. We are joined with Hobie here from Monoprice. How are you doing?
Doing all right. How's everybody else doing?
We're
Oh
good.
man, we're good. We're just chatting. I was telling these guys that we're late because we're just chatting backstage, and like, we're gonna be late,
Yeah,
or we are late.
it said showtime. Whoops. Whoopsie.
So what's on the agenda today, Hobie?
I didn't really, I didn't really have an agenda. You sort of asked me to come on the show, and I was like, "What the hell?"
That's awesome.
And then after I committed to it, I was sort of like, "What am I going to talk about?"
What's happening?
That's even better. We don't
Yeah.
we don't need an agenda. I told Hobie, like, with all the products that you guys have, we could just talk about some of those and it'll fill up an hour very quickly.
Let's talk about the easy ups for Monoprice.
Monoprice
easy up.
I will give it the old college try.
we were saying that I'm getting emails from Monoprice, and it's like camping equipment, guitars, cables. Like it's your one-stop shop, ladies and gentlemen. Like,
yeah, they got everything.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
our guitars are actually really good for the money. I mean, not that I'm a guitarist by any stretch, and we could use a celebrity endorsement on those if we can get one. But they're actually, I mean, we try to have everything be pretty good for the money. And I will say, sometimes we sort of color outside the lines as far as what categories we get into. But most of the time, the product's actually pretty good.
I'm over here. You know, I've been playing guitar for like 20 years, right?
I assume so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from seeing some of your other videos, yeah.
Yeah.
We should send you one.
Yeah.
And the 15-watt guitar tube amp is actually really freaking good for a couple $100.
Yeah, look, you got a little Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You got a little Les Paul body. Ooh, love me some humbuckers. Look at those.
Hey, Hobie, this guy says, please follow the Harman Target.
On guitars.
Oh.
I think we're switching gears.
Talking about headphones?
As I say, I don't know much about guitars. Maybe there is a Harman curve for guitars. I don't know. I do. I try to. Most of not every headphone Monoprice has put out, because there's been a lot put out that are still on for sale before I worked here.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the headphones in the past 3 years, we do try to tune to the Harman curve, like the BT600 ANC. Joe, I think like you reviewed that. That's pretty close to the Harman curve. When I can, we do try to tune it to the Harman curve.
You're saying that your volume is a little bit low, so if you hit cam and mic, and if you hit audio, just make sure that it's on automatically adjust mic volume, so you can play with that for a second.
It is.
In the meantime,
it
is okay.
Out. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too loud.
I can go down on my volume. There we go. What is this guy, Hobie?
That guy is discontinued.
Oh, this is discontinued. Okay, because I was about to say, is this the size of your Dual 15 subwoofer? Because this thing looks huge.
It looks like it. No, that thing. That was a badass little tube headphone amp, but it's super heavy. I think that thing must weigh like 30 pounds or something like that. It was sort of crazy heavy, but it didn't really sell that well, so we discontinued it.
But why don't you take a look, Chana, at the Monolith series? I think that's appropriate for this audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the Monolith stuff.
I was still curious about those THX towers. Yeah, from this lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody said YouTube needs more reviews on tower speakers. So, like this guy here.
I just moved to a new house. I can accommodate floor standing speakers. Let's
send you a pair. We can send both you guys a pair. The the interesting thing about tower speakers is I think most people think that most people have sort of gone away from a tower speaker into like Sonos or a sound bar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually look at like a lot of the NPD data, there are several tower speakers in the top 25. So I think since like the predominant thought is most people have moved away. I think you've seen some reviewers kind of move away from reviewing them outside of the only thing I can think of is was it Zero Fidelity, that the gentleman running that one. I can't remember.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He'll review some
But
towers every now and then, but
it just takes up a lot of space because
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a reviewer, we just have so many boxes. So imagine like the floor standards plus the box.
Yeah.
And so it's just after a while, you're just like looking.
I
at
got
the
a new
boxes
storage
everywhere.
unit just for empty box storage. Can you believe this, Hobie? Like
for
that's
empty
like
box.
that's
Right.
it's empty. But there's half of the thing is empty boxes. It's ridiculous.
yeah, no, and you also too, you have to make sure. I'm lucky. My wife is awesome with my equipment. Sort of lets me have most anything I want within reason. So our living room is dominated by like an Atlantic Technology THX system, but she doesn't have much of a problem with. Not granted, if I were doing anything more absurd than that, like it's not even Atmos; it's just 5.1. But she won't let me punch holes in the ceiling or anything like that. But,
Well, and that's like a common thing. A lot of people have been saying is that, oh, I don't want to put holes in my ceiling. Okay, don't. But you can mount some stuff up high, some height channels. You can find a creative way to like hide the wires and stuff like that to be more WAF friendly. But a lot of people I know. I talked to Brandon from the YouTube channel Be the Installer.
oh yeah.
He's always telling people like, because when you go to rent someplace, especially in California, like there is no law saying you can't attach something to the wall. And he's like, yeah, a lot of people have this misconception that it's illegal or whatever, and they can't do it. But he's like, no, just do it. And then when you're moving, just get some spackle.
Yeah,
get some paint. I'm not a handy guy, but I can do that.
I had 4 ceiling speakers, not in ceiling, but I had 4 speakers mounted on the ceiling in the previous apartment. And you know what actually did the most damage is not the screwing the mounting plate up there. It's I use this stuff like those tracks to hide the wires.
Those things.
And when you rip those off, it rips off all the paint. So that's what you have to be careful.
The late
about.
Night painting session on the roof there.
Yeah,
that sounds better. When this is some time ago, but I've lived with 2 other guys, and I had my system hooked up there. I was the dork with the home theater system living with 2 other dudes. I strung the speaker wire up and over this, like up the wall and up the ceiling, and used thumbtacks all on the ceiling to hold up speakers. So we had like bare speaker wire running above us, held up by thumbtacks and duct tape. It was very, very practical, but not very attractive. Kind of like me. It was a lot like myself. It did work. It got the job done.
I named this. So Hobie's like, yeah, I'll be on. And I said, all right, I made the name here. I think your name was the title that you proposed was like Shooting the Breeze or something like that.
Shooting the Breeze.
Oh, I don't know if anybody's gonna know what that is. So I just named it Monolith Knows Home Theater. And this is something we've talked about a few times. Is like you're an enthusiast. And so are you the one who's in charge of Monolith and the products that get created there? Is it a team? How does that work?
No, it's it's just me. Like I'm the only guy running Monolith, right? So I can safely say there is 0 input from anybody else in the company, especially since it's been pretty successful. They've thankfully the CEO, I have a really good relationship with Bernard Luthi, and even the VP of product, Paul Collis. One, they'll tell you they don't know anything about audio themselves. They have thought, a few of the things I want to do were kind of crazy, and I said, like, we're doing tents though, man. So
we're doing tents.
So how is a speaker crazy? But yeah, it's just me. It sounds very, I think, egotistical and selfish, but it's also true.
It's the truth.
It's just true.
So when a product comes out and it's great, it's all because of me. When it stinks, it's all because of me. So
you know how you have a lot of you had like THX certification. The way I think about it, it's like in my mind, I'm like, oh, it has a Hobie certification, because I know you're not
Well,
going to put out like straight garbage. You know,
Right.
everything that
right,
you've put
right.
out so far that I've checked out is like, this is good for, at this price point. Like, man, this is very competitive.
Well,
Have
So
you
that's how
been
I look at it.
have you been seeing what I'm putting up on screen here? Like a lot of this THX in-wall stuff is not expensive
no,
compared to look, and you guys
Hey,
have
look, he puts the
graphs.
graphs. He don't.
Yeah.
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 no. I mean, well, so that's yeah. I mean, and look, it's not to say when I say it's all me, it's not to say I'm not working with an acoustic engineer or something like that, because I would know how to put a crossover together, like what components need to make up
Hmm.
that crossover exactly. I know more how it needs to sound. I will know a basic level. I mean, there's like Aaron, for
Oh yeah.
example. I would probably consider him much smarter than me about some of this stuff. If I'm just being frank, but I have been an enthusiast my entire life. I do know what should sound good, and the only barometer I use on what stuff we should put out is would I buy it. And there are things that I know now, being on the manufacturing side, and plus previously when I was in retail, that there are some things that are really, really, really expensive that
Hmm.
have no right to be that expensive. They don't cost as
Right.
much as they're being
Right.
sold for.
Right.
I'll see headphones that are manufactured for $30 being sold for $1,000. It's just like they just don't need to cost that much, or a speaker being sold for $10,000 a pair that cost them $450 to manufacture, right? It's so you can what I try to do is make things affordable for enthusiasts. I mean, and we're not the only people doing it. There are a lot of good companies, SPS or Motiva, right? There are a lot of companies out
Hmm.
there that do
Hmm.
that too. Not to give a shout out to my competition or anything, but who hopefully, but no, but it's a good time to get some of these products. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there. I mean, there's some not so good stuff out there too, but
They just need DSP on their subs. I don't get. I'm not sure why you think that they might not. To me, I assume that you do have DSP.
oh yeah, we have DSP in all of our subs. So what, like SBS, I would think again, not to talk about, but
Is he talking about maybe the app
like
or
an
something?
app.
Is it maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
here's like my 2 cents on having an app. I don't think you need one. This to me, this is like I would prefer to buy a television with no smart apps in it anymore, so I can save money.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have,
Or a
I
tuner.
have,
Why would I want a tuner nowadays? Right?
right. I have 15. I mean, like I have 15 devices under my TV now that I can stream Netflix on. Why are you building it into my
It's
TV
very
itself?
redundant. You know what?
Yes.
You know what I find? I find with these like TV manufacturers, it's really it's like an ego thing. Like they think that your TV is going to be the hub of all your entertainment. Like, really, get the out of here. Do you
It's
really think that this is gonna like the Samsung in particular, right? It takes so long to switch inputs because the Samsung is trying to analyze and
yeah,
trying to help you and be smart. Just give me the damn input already.
yeah,
Like I need to sit another 45 seconds for you to switch inputs and trying to figure out like there's this little spinning circle identifying device. Like just
right.
stop.
So,
You know?
so you're saying if you really want some of the advanced stuff, maybe you can go out and get like a mini DSP or use what's on your AVR or something
Well,
like that.
so my question is like for app control, and I'm ready to say I'm wrong on this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But this is my thought as how I use my system,
Okay.
and trust me, it's always when you start saying things like, "Well, I shop like this," usually you are always wrong. But how often are you tweaking your sub?
Yeah.
Like for me, I set it up. I get the volume at 75 dB. I run Dirac,
You're like
and I
Ron
never
Popeil.
touch it again.
Right. Set it and forget it. Right.
Right. So I'm
I
never
guess.
going to be
Yeah.
calling up my app going, oh, I need to increase it 2.5 dB for this. I mean, like, I just don't do that. I find like
I
I don't want you to pay for something you're going to use for 15 minutes and never use again.
That's a good
I
philosophy.
guess that's the thing though, is like when I am setting up a sub, it's pretty handy to be able to sit where I'm gonna sit and then make the adjustments there instead of like going back and forth. But no, I get what you're saying too. Is you take it out of the cost though, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's less expensive because you don't have that feature. I don't know. I think it's about simplicity too. So I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that
that's part of
it's
it.
very simple. So
It's definitely easy to sit in your listening position and be like, oh, okay, let me bump this up, and then you do it, and then you're done. But I get your point too, Hobie. Like, does everybody need that? I think that's like on a large scale, chances
It's one
are
of
it
those
could be a
things. It's
no.
a trade off because you will pay for that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you can put it in, but you're going to pay for it.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. I mean, well, it definitely won't be a free feature. And look, it's not to say it's not something that, probably I imagine down the line we'll probably have to have, if everybody ends up putting app controlled in there, it's like, I'm not going to be, the guy with like my arms folded on the side going, no, we're not doing an app. But, so it wouldn't shock me if in a couple of years we have app controlled subs. But, I just like I said, for me, I don't mess with my subwoofer that much. I just don't turn it on and off a lot. So
get something like this. You can get something like this. That'll help out.
well, right. Well, you could do a lot. Right. That's kind of what I mean. I understand. Like, want to see you, but you can adjust. Any receiver you have, you can adjust your subwoofer level sitting in your listening position.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. I like this.
Oro 3D,
everything.
huh? I like that.
I like everything about this. The Dirac Live, and this has a Dirac Live bass control. Am I right or wrong on that?
So it comes out of the box with the full Dirac Live suite. I know like some processors come with a limited suite where it's only like correcting 500 hertz and like the 10. I can't remember exactly where it stops.
Yeah, up to 500 hertz, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But ours is the full suite out of the box for no cost. Then bass control is a surcharge. You have to buy an additional license through Dirac, but ours is, obviously the HTTP one is fully compatible with it. It's $500 from Dirac.
What?
Yeah, but that's cool. What it does. So basically, what it can do is, I don't know if you wanted you to explain it. I can explain it too. I've been looking at that for a while.
No, it's great. I mean, Dirac bass control is great for multi-subwoofer systems, right? Because it individually EQs every subwoofer in your room instead of grouping them together and EQing them as one sub, which is kind of what Dirac Live does. And it can make it we've talked about this before a little bit. Yeah. I think, when I listen to it, and Dirac's probably going to hate me for saying this, like it feels like oftentimes much more of a refinement instead of like an incredible wow, this is so much better, right? It felt like it's better, but it's kind of like a refinement, like it's milking the last 5% out of your system. But that was in our room, right? That was in our listening room where we were messing with this. Now, obviously, I've seen feedback on forums where they felt it was transformational for them. Yeah. So I think that's the kind of the thing with this stuff, right? I mean, you guys know it's like every room's different, so.
That's what I love about talking to you is when I talk to you either by email or on the phone, this is the exact conversation that we have. So you'd think, oh, he's the guy who made the product, so he's gonna talk it up. No, I said, hey, so how does that Dirac Live bass control? He's like, I could, it wasn't a huge difference, and you don't expect that level of honesty, but it's very refreshing, and that's why I knew that we could just do this on the fly, and you're gonna just tell it as it is. But regarding this, I think it's again, dependent on your room, but it's supposed to help with the seat-to-seat variation.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So if you have huge swings, I think the optimization makes it so that there's less difference between the seats, which is pretty cool.
I mean, I do think like if you're buying a $4,000 processor or a more expensive processor, like you're picking up something from Storm Audio or
audio control or
I mean, like if you're spending that kind of money to like not step up to get bass control, probably it's kind of like if you're buying an $8,000 TV but you don't want to pay for ISF calibration. I mean, what I mean? It's like, why aren't you just going to spend the little extra change to get the most out of your system if you're already spending that much money, right? Yeah. So if I was buying the HTTP one or another product, I'd probably just get the bass control. Why not? Why make sure I'm getting the most out of my system instead of having FOMO.
Yeah. Well, instead of just wondering than you could have spent it on cables, or you could spend it on Dirac Live bass control. I'll probably spend it on the software. You
Yeah,
know, I
exactly.
did a
Well,
review
yeah.
actually of the mini DSP DDRC88A, which is a Dirac
Yeah.
thing, but it didn't have all this. And so at the end of that video, I was just kind of thinking, okay, so if I get this, you still have to get a preamp, and then you got to get a power amp, and then when you start adding up all the costs, you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't know. This is starting to make sense over here.
Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't spend $500 on cables because you don't need to. Of coming from Monolith. Shop our vast cable selection and save money on cables. But thank 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 you. Thank you very much. But yeah, no, I mean, but it is. I mean, $500. I mean, hell, you could buy another component for that kind of money too. So
Yeah.
it is sort of like you do have to think about it a little bit.
I got a question about your processor. You got 16 channels here, and it says Oro 3D. How many channels of Oro 3D can we do?
I believe it upmixes to all. You know, I don't. You know, we we actually here's what's funny. We updated the last firmware to be more in line. So if for a while there, you could do all 16 channels with Oro and ours. But then we had to reduce it to be more in line with how Oro Upmixer works. It was actually more constant with their IP, so to speak. But it's funny, the feedback from the community on AVS that seems to be a very vocal community. We have like 1 million views on the HTTP1 thread, but they preferred the sound filling all their speakers, and now two speakers. Don't have sound coming out when using the Oro 3D upmixer, and they're kind of like, why is that? When it's like, well, now we're actually more accurate to Oro's intent,
Right,
and it's like, yeah, but we don't like it. There's no, two of my height channel, I think it's the height channels or side channels, don't have sound coming out of them now. So we're going to take another look at that. I'm obviously.
I mean, I know like 13 is what I can have in this room. You know, the 7 ear level, the 4 height, actually 5 height, right? It's the center. They do a center
like
height.
The voice of God, right?
Yeah. No. There's the voice of God, and then the center height. So it's like right above the center channel. There's a center height too. So technically there's 6 up in the ceiling, and then 7 ear levels. So I know I don't know anything above that really as far as Oro's configuration. So that's why I was asking.
Right.
He says,
it was 14 channel, 13.1.
Yeah.
Juan says, can't wait till he talks about Monolith amps. Which one do you want to talk about? Which one do you want him to talk about? There's some here.
I mean, all I want to know is like, dude, you gotta get like a couple of warnings, maybe some wood underneath that box, because these things are heavy.
They are heavy.
Oh my goodness, they are so heavy, ridiculous. I had the 9, and it was just like it was a monster. I felt like the box. It's double box. I felt like the boxes were gonna break.
Hopefully, we haven't had to. I don't think we've had too much problem with but yeah, they do. They should definitely have a friend over when you're set those up, and hopefully you put it in a place once that you never have to move it again, because they do weigh. They all weigh about 100 pounds, except for like I mean, obviously they get lighter if you go down to 2 channel, 3 channel, but not much lighter.
Look at those transformers. Look at that.
Yeah.
Like headlights on a car. They're huge.
Yeah. I mean, these are, I think everybody knows by this point, they're built by ATI. But great products. It's hard to buy a better amp for the money than what we have. If you actually put like our 7-channel specs up against the Krell, I forgot the model number is, 7-channel amp, which is 10 grand versus $1,700, and we beat it spec to spec in every spec and noise and signal noise ratio, distortion, power all channels. So plus they're made right here in Montebello. So
it says here Class AB.
Yeah, they're Class AB. So so very soon. So I remember I talked about a few things coming down the pike last time I was on, and the way And I'm sure, I don't know how many
Yeah, that was a
folks
while
are,
back.
yeah, a while back, but like we are going to have a whole lot of new Monolith product coming out like end of the summer through November. It is the way the supply chain has been shipping. I mean, I'm sure what everybody reads in the news. It's been very
Oh,
crazy, which is
Mm-hmm.
it's been a fact. I mean, that's a
I,
fact.
I I saw this thing on TikTok, which I was gonna send to you and to Joe and stuff, you guys in the chat. Like, there's like a shipping container crane that just collapsed in China. That collapsed,
Uh,
and you see like a domino effect of shipping containers just fall down. Like, okay, who's picking that up? Like, it was pretty bad. So like, there could be all kinds of stuff going on as far as like shipping delays.
A
yeah,
lot of
it's
folks have Monolith products here. Let's see. Oh, he asks, should he go 3-channel or 7 for now? That depends.
it depends. I would get the if you think you're going to need it in the 7 in the future, I would just get the 7.
So Sammy asked if you have the X7 and you only run 2 channels, do you get more than 200 watts?
No,
So it's capped. They don't like share or anything like that.
it's not. No, they're kind of not kind of, but they all run on their own rail. So
Okay.
it does have a lot of power in reserve for each rail. I mean, they'll eventually put out up to 300 watts. I don't know who my dogs are calling, but and they're stable down to 2 ohms, and so there isn't a speaker I've ever hooked up to them that this amp has struggled with. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean it has a lot on reserve, but you won't end up getting more watts by only using 2 of the 7 or something like that. It doesn't work that way. It's and there are amps that do work that way. A lot of
Mhm.
amps and receivers are using share components. So if you do only use 2 or 3, you actually will get more juice out of them. But
Right.
the monolith amplifiers aren't built that way.
Gotcha. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just wondering, you're saying that you have some new stuff coming out. I of course I can't say anything, but all I know is I asked Monoprice to be a channel sponsor, and they're like, all right. And so they sent me a list. Sent me a list. I'm like, ding. All right. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
That's it.
the sad part is it would not the sad part from my perspective. The sad part is this has made my life more challenging. It was supposed to like start coming out in February and sort of come out over an 8-month window, and now that 8-month window is going to be basically a 3.5-month window
Hmm.
due to various delays, port delay. I mean, it's just all the various stuff that's happening. I mean, I can
Yeah.
like there have been a part in one product that used to cost $1 now costs $14. I mean, I
Oof.
need like 4 of them. I mean, it's really crazy right now. Um, it's been just challenged to corral, but I mean, I could say we'll have lighter amps relatively soon. We will have Class D amps. More subwoofers. I don't think that's going to be a secret. That's going to be relatively soon. More speakers, more in-wall speakers, in-ceiling speakers, dual in-wall subs. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming on walls.
All I know is I'm
Um,
very excited.
yeah.
Very excited.
So
American Audio Company UK asked a question here. You see
yeah.
that on the screen? It says, Hobie, it's been great starting to see Monolith and Monoprice arriving in Europe and in the UK. When can we expect the amps and HTP1 even getting asked about the dual 15 sub? Is he a dealer over there or distributor or something like that? Installer?
Maybe. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. HTP1. I mean, I'm sure everybody kind of know. Well, not everybody, but AKM factory fire that
Hmm.
happened in late last year has really put a crimp on AKM chips, and the HTP1 is all AKM 4493s. So I don't think you're going to see the HTP1 in Europe anytime soon. It's going to be pretty constrained. I mean, we're out of stock on it right now. We're probably going to be out of stock of it until back half of this year. Due to the chip shortage, we just can't. I mean, we literally can't manufacture it right now.
Hmm.
We do have some chips. We'll be able to build some by Q4. Going into Q3, Q4. So we'll come back in stock. Are playing around with kind of using part 4493s, part 4490s, like using 4490 DACs for the like the height channels, which using the 4490.
So mix and match to kind of make it happen for right now.
Yeah, to make it happen, and the I don't think it's as important for the height, basically the atmosphere channels to be the 4493 for me.
Right, sure. You don't need to be pumping 200 watts into those either, right?
Right. Well, they are
right.
that too. Right?
I mean, I do, but nobody needs to be doing that.
Yeah, at least I use 400 watts in my height channels. But that is something we're looking at. I'm not saying that's what we're going to do for sure, but to extend how many of these we can build in the fall, that may be an avenue we go down, because we do have, it is sort of a drop in from a pin layout. The 4493, 4490s are similar from a performance perspective. They're pretty similar too. So I don't know. We'll be going down that avenue. I don't want to say the summer. It is summer, but in the next 3 weeks, and sort of sussing that out.
Okay, he says he's a UK dealer. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't see that coming into Europe until 2022 or sometime. And the Monolith amps are, since they're made in America, exporting those. It's something we're taking a look at internally.
And they're heavy.
And they're heavy.
And they're heavy.
So I will say they will not be the same price in Europe. They couldn't be, but we definitely want to get. I know as a company internally, we definitely want to get as much Monolith stuff into the EU, UK, and even other territories. We're looking at Australia, Japan this year, and you will see a lot of Monolith product in the UK back half of this year. In terms of like speakers and walls, anything passive will be, easily go over there. But some of this other stuff is more challenging and more complicated to deal with.
I need one of these, right, Chana?
Yes,
something like this.
Yes, I like
it.
Was like
really good for
his rack that he's got his stuff on. Like totally took me back to college. Like it was like. Totally
it's
functional.
like one of those kitchen racks.
Not pretty. Like I actually had one for like turntables. I had like the 5-foot long one for my turntables, which still I think at my mom's house, and she's still using it for other stuff. But like, yeah. You guys have everything, right? Pretty much.
I see this THX thing here, and I was just gonna say, like, are you gonna have some plans for some Dominus? Yeah, right. You saw that
Dominus
spec?
Is a so when we were doing the dual 15-inch sub, I thought that would get us to Dominus, and it didn't.
So you got to go three.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
it's gonna be 6 foot
only
tall.
per listen, right?
Yeah, per. Here the interesting thing is, so the gentleman, the acoustic engineer that designed the per listen speakers, is actually a designer in all the Monolith speakers. So he is the acoustic engineer I work with on all the Monolith stuff.
Oh, you hear that?
So
it's almost like per listen.
That's a beard stroker.
Hey, well, all three of us have beards. That's great.
So the guys obviously. That's something. I'm not involved with per listen. That's it's what he started. That's sort of where his passion is, and he wanted to.
I see a little bit of the design cues.
Kind of, yeah.
Make
put that guy up on stream, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've known Dan for 6 years now, something like that. So.
Yeah, pretty much the same, right? So you got the 4 drivers.
Per listen is, I would say, the per listen stuff. Not that I've listened to it, but I am one hopes that I think they're $15,000 a pair would be significantly better than those, but maybe not.
They have some really crazy finishes on some of them.
They do.
So that's definitely, when we always talk about speakers and stuff like that. That we have to end up looking at them, and they end up becoming furniture. So the nicer they look, especially, you got that significant other. Like what? Why? More speakers, bigger? What do you say?
Yeah, and I think too, like with the Monolith speakers, I mean, as far as sort of their finishes and everything, that's something where I would say we are conservative in where we spend. We put most of the money in the like crossover components and driver components.
I mean, yeah, that's actually,
yeah.
And on the shipping of those
I think
subs,
that's more important actually.
All the cost is in the shipping because those subs are so heavy.
I know.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Even the 12-inch one I had was damn heavy. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
What, 80 pounds or something like that?
Yeah.
The subwoofer.
Even the grill is heavy.
Everything.
Even the grill is heavy.
Power cable
like, dang, this thing
is like the thickest like 0 gauge IEC. Like even this thing's heavy. What?
You ain't
your
seen
theme.
nothing
It's
yet.
the Monolith theme.
Hey,
so there's
quality right there.
There's a couple of new subwoofers coming out in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So the 13-inch subwoofer will be hitting in July. 2,000 watts. That thing weighs like 165 pounds. So that's
Send that one to Youthman. Please don't send it to me. Please
I'll send it to Youthman. I'm sure he'll want it.
Yeah, he'll do some bench presses with it first when he's unboxing.
Yeah, I do military with that one myself.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get good lats.
Oh, you know what? I know Reginald says, why do you use upfiring Atmos speakers? And we kind of thought about something the other day when do you guys have any plans to make like a height channel of some sort?
Yeah, we do. It probably wouldn't be until next
couple
year.
Years. Yeah,
right. Kind of to what you were saying earlier about maybe not putting holes in your ceiling, but you can, put some speakers out there. So I do think it makes a lot of sense to probably do that because the bounce stuff, I think everybody, it's like, it's okay, but it's nowhere near, having a real speaker, like to me, like the high channel are basically in the Monolith speakers for, quote unquote free. Like you're not paying more to have that in there. Really.
Sure. Yeah.
But I will say it kind of bummed me out. Like the minute we announced them, everybody was like, do you have one without the height channel? And I was like,
is that a common one?
Yeah, that was a con. I'm like, well, we actually spent a lot of time to put the height channel.
Like, damn you. I'm trying to give you something for free. And
I know.
You're really
right. I'm like,
you're like busting my balls about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. I was like, so you don't want vanilla chocolate swirl, you just want vanilla. But so I would say like we can move pretty fast because the towers weren't out yet. They were being built. And so I quickly was able to develop a version of the tower speakers without the height channel.
Right. I noticed that. Yeah.
That's
the only one, right?
Yeah. Which is why that you can buy a set of towers without the upfiring Atmos speakers because we were able to pivot really quickly and strip that out. And some of the price delta is just not from a cost delta, just to have it make sense from an assortment. I do think you will see some height channels from us, I think, in next, but it won't be till next year. We just started early.
So
work on them.
So moral of the story is Hobie listens. So if you have something that you want, just be the loudest, squeakiest wheel and just post it everywhere. Make new accounts. Make a fake account and just say this is what you want, and we'll just wait a few months.
It also sounds an awful lot like why stalker laws were invented, but we can go. But no, I do. We do try to. I do try. I mean, I want everybody to be happy with what they buy, right? And so I actually. I do listen, and I'm luckily I know enough. I've been doing, as a user more than a manufacturer, kind of know when sometimes a squeaky wheel is just being squeaky, and it's not a real problem. And then there are some real things we've addressed. I mean, I think we were pretty, fast to address some things with the processor out of the gate, and it's in a really good place right now. And we're not working on firmware anymore. We are. We're just trying to have we did a lot of little firmwares when it came out, like addressing this little thing, this little thing, this little thing. Now we're kind of like trying to address a multitude of things at once, and then add DTSX Pro instead of doing a firmware every like couple of weeks. We're kind of it's taken longer to get to those final ones.
So you guys are adding that in as a firmware update?
Oh yeah, it should. Yeah, it's not like imminent, but we already have it.
You're working.
It is running on the processor internally, but we need to make some significant interface changes and some GUI changes, and that's actually what's funny. That's going to take us longer than doing the algorithm part of it, getting it to work. But yeah, even one of the first Monolith planar headphones came out. We addressed a whole bunch of things in the build quality on the next PO that people complained about. So I do listen, and we'll try to address what we can. And then some things obviously you can't.
Are you guys doing IMAX enhanced in your processor as well, or no?
No. And this is I don't. Part of
I mean,
is that a real thing?
I'd be fed up. I'd be like, crap. What are they going to come out in 2 years with? Dolby Atmos Plus. It's just something else.
I've had actually conversations with Mark Henninger at ABS about this, and part of me is just like, what value is this adding? I can't. I know people will want it because they feel like they're missing out. And it's I have friends that work in various receiver companies that I think, but and it's interesting. They said their own internal data shows that unless you have every like streaming app and every IMAX enhanced and all this stuff on the box, the intent to buy is really low. But when they go back and survey the people that bought their receivers, like literally only 2%.
They don't even care about it.
Nobody even uses any of it.
The only time I've ever heard IMAX enhanced was that like the demo disc. That's pretty much it. And then I liked it. It was cool, but then that's it.
Yeah, no movies came out really.
If I can't, so here's my thing. I don't even understand it as an enthusiast.
Okay.
Like I personally don't want to pay for it as an enthusiast. So I'm not going to pay money to put it in a processor. So, right. And it's sort of like I said, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. But when it was first announced, I was sort of like, what is this?
Hey, that's exactly what I said. I got the demo at that CEDIA in 2018, and I'm like, okay, this kind of seems the same, but
right.
What is it actually doing?
It was sort of pitched initially as like, some sort of certification, and I was like, is this like THX kind of thing, or is this, and are there IMAX enhanced mixes on any of the 4K discs or anything? I'm not.
There's a couple.
There's a couple, right?
Yeah, Bad Boys for Life.
Bad Boys for Life. Oh, that's right.
Jumanji, the next level.
Oh, that's right.
That was a good one. But other than that, the IMAX movies like Journey to the South Pacific, and then I almost said Journey to South Korea. Like what? Wait a minute, what's happening?
It's a good place to go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I agree with Youthman. I just don't see the value. And hopefully, I gotta be, somewhat. Hopefully, it doesn't make you not buy the HDP one if it's not in there. But
right. Since you guys do a lot of THX, would you want to have like THX certification on your processor too, or is that a different thing? Or
it's so I find so. For me, THX, like I felt, gave some sort of Monoprice has various. The customer base has various opinions of Monoprice, right? Like to your point, we sell a lot of different stuff. You may or may not like it all. You may or may not like all of our product. But as I was doing Monolith, THX was kind of going through a internal resurgence and trying to make their brand. I would say much more relevant. I think they've done a really good job with that over the past 3 to 4 years. And I kind of remember THX back from late 90s to maybe mid 2000s, where it did sort of mean something on some products and even transfer on DVDs and Laserdiscs and things like that. And so I felt like we needed a third party to help establish Monolith as a high-end brand that, we're putting out these speakers or these subwoofers. They're THX certified, which, enthusiast sort of knows what that means, and sort of like a third party approval from somebody else going, hey, these are going to be good.
Right.
If you buy them, because, it is, and I think we've sort of kind of got over the hump on this a little bit, but we still have a lot of work to do to where, people actually want to buy this stuff from a company like Monoprice. I get like some of the apprehension. I totally get it. But I even posted about our customer, like some of our customer service things on AVS. I get like you can call SVS and Power Sound Audio and talk to the owner, right? And you're not going to have that experience at Monoprice. You're just not. But it doesn't mean, you're not going to get the service. You won't be able to return it. And we're still constantly trying to.
Shoot, I can't even get a hold of Hobie. I have your number. I can't even get a hold of you sometimes. Jeez. I email and then like he emails me like a month later.
I've been busy, bro.
But I know. Here's this quick trick, because earlier you're like, we, and you're like, well, hold on a second. If they start saying we, then that's the guy to talk to. The guy who's always saying like, I'm doing this, and that guy he doesn't have very much pull. But when you say we, he's like, he's the man. Anyway, something I've noticed.
I appreciate it. No, it's look, Monolith means a lot to me. I mean, right, it's my baby. So I wanted to continue to do well, not just for my company or staying employed, right? It's just, but like, I want everybody to like the products, right? It's personal.
Yeah. I like all the products that you've made so far that I've checked out. Nothing that I've checked out was like, oh man, sorry, Hobie, don't really like this one.
American Audio Company is still waiting for his LinkedIn connection.
Did I?
Then you got it. That's the right one. That's Hobie.
That's great.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. I was actually worried that you wouldn't
be
on here.
I'm like, actually Hobie on LinkedIn.
Exactly.
That's me.
I'm like, if I call him, I hope he's gonna be on this live stream right now, because I might not be able to get a hold of him. If he forgot, he might return my call tomorrow. He's a busy man. You're a busy man, I guess.
Yeah, it's been we could talk a bit more offline. It's been a very interesting year for me personally. I'll just say that.
Got you. All you need is the Hobie certification. That's what you should make, your own certification. Forget the THX, just put the Hobie certification. That's all you need. I guess that's what Monolith is, right?
It's all Hobie.
Monolith.
That's Hobie. He gave the stamp of approval.
Okay, I have a question. So some stuff
he raises his hand.
Monoprice. Yeah, I got a question. Some stuff says Monoprice. Like I've gotten headphones that said Monoprice, and then some say Monolith. How do you differentiate between two? What's going to be what?
Well, some of it is, it's about price point quality. I mean, it's not to say the Monoprice stuff is, much worse, but it's no different to me than thinking of like Pioneer Elite, or like Onkyo or Integra. I mean, which are the same company, right? Or even in some ways, Denon and Marantz. But and that's to say too, we haven't really. And this is me too, because I actually do all the Monoprice audio stuff too. But in a perfect world, the Monoprice stuff should like dovetail into the Monolith stuff and have it all make sense, right? But since the Monoprice stuff has existed for a lot longer, like some stuff's been around 5-10 years, right? We have a pair of headphones like the 8323s. That's the product ID number. Like 10 years old, and we sell an insane amount of those every month, right? But since some Monoprice product has been around for a while, it doesn't always just dovetail into the Monolith story. But in a
Right.
perfect world, it
Got
should,
it.
right? There should be like a 10, 12, and 15 on the Monolith, and then a 10, 12, and 15 under Monoprice that are just a step down in performance.
Okay.
And I think eventually we'll get there to have it, from a bird's eye view. I also kind of think, too, people, this is something product guys like myself are worry about a lot. But as a consumer, you're not like, nobody ever steps back and goes, let me look at everything you carry.
Mm.
And then, does it make sense? No, I'm not buying anything. I think they're always looking at the individual product for the most part. I think, product assortment strategy has gotten very different as everybody is buying product online. And it's almost what the individual product strategy is, not so much what the entire assortment is. But that's probably me talking too much inside baseball.
Yeah.
But like nobody's like, who's talking about, man? But
just for transparency, again, I have to mention that Monoprice is a channel sponsor on my personal channel, not on Daily HiFi, my personal channel. And so I just want to, since we have people watching here, I want people to know that our deal is I review a product, but I get to say whatever I want. You don't get to say like, you know what, no.
Dude, I do that all the time.
What?
I say whatever I want.
Yeah, you say what I get to say whatever I want, and I just want to make sure that that's clear. And I was clear with Hobie about that, and I think it's just, I don't think it's an issue because you're confident in your products. You've already measured them. That's what the thing I also like is it's not a surprise because I'm going to measure them, but you've already measured them. So as long as those two kind of match up, then we're talking about the same product.
I'm not. Yeah, thankfully, I'm not waiting for you to let me know how it is.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Some of these other companies kind of are though. I feel like, is this the first time you've ever seen the frequency response? Or are you just waiting for me to show you? I don't get it. Did you guys not measure this before? Or?
Man, I would hope not. I would be very, I'd be very petrified sending a product. I'd be just sitting there going, oh man, I hope he likes it. I don't know.
I hope it measures well. Like,
and then
why
you probably
would
have to like wear a shock collar, and every time you said something bad, but I know where they perform. In fact, I know where, like we've had to change or make things like a Monolith. Like some of the products that, I mean, it's not all supply chain. Some of the stuff's not out because we've had to do things a little differently to like make sure we get THX certified, or we had to fix a voice coil because we weren't getting the output we needed on the subwoofer. I mean, things like that. Wow. So something like yo, this is way too light. We need to build this heavier. Like, add some more wood into the sucker. That's actually my first go-to with everybody. I was like, wait, you make it heavy.
Hey, the soundbar that you sent was pretty light though. I was surprised.
It ain't good to go.
You need to add some weights to this soundbar. Right. Some lead. Can you throw some lead in there? The shipping is a little too inexpensive.
Put two little posts at the end so you could actually put free weights on it.
There you go.
So as you're setting it up, you put some free weights and you just curl it, and then you get
RGA
artwork
says,
in and you're good to go. Yeah,
sponsored doesn't mean sold out. No, because Monoprice, Monolith, I get to review all these cool products. That's Chana. That's easy, right? You get to review cool products. Are you gonna say no?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your headphones here, and like I've actually been getting into planar magnetics, and I was just like, look, these are very like reasonably priced. You got the closed back ones at $300. You
want to show those?
Yeah.
Because actually, I am reviewing this soundbar. So real quick, before we get off this topic is I'm reviewing the soundbar, and you guys know me. I'm no fan of soundbars. If I can convince somebody to get some an AVR and some speakers, I'm gonna try to convince them. But even in my situation, in the bedroom, I don't really want to do all that. In the bedroom, it's just a TV on the wall, and it's just for my kid to watch that thing that I was telling you about it backstage.
To go to sleep,
with the waves to fall asleep. And once in a while, my wife wants to watch the Loki over there, and she doesn't want to watch on the TV speakers. And so this, I'm like, dang, it's $179, and it's what I want. And actually, I'm very surprised that it says, virtual Dolby Atmos, and usually that, virtual anything is not great. Not great. But I was like, I emailed Hobie like, dang, that actually kind of works. I was surprised. I mean, I'm gonna have my review out, so you'll see the details. But it's not like, oh, it sounds as if I had ceiling speakers and rear speakers, and it sounds like I have a sub over there. It's not that, but it's more than you expect from $179 soundbar. I've reviewed stuff that's $800 and much more expensive, and I'm less impressed with those at their price point than this. So anyway, just another.
And that's the hard thing when you're selling, like, as we market like virtual Atmos or like virtual DTSX or something like that. It's you do have to sort of keep your expectations in place, right? Because if we start telling you you're going to have a fully immersive sound field, we would be lying.
Right.
I do. It's also kind of impossible. But I do think on this sound bar, like, it just expands the sound field, and you like I almost say, like, you'll get lucky and every now and then hear something that seems like it's kind of coming from over here, but for the most part, it's just sort of an enhanced sound stage. It just sort of makes it come outside of the sound bar, right? It just doesn't feel like it's just a narrow sound field from the sound. So it just seems wider, a lot more spacious.
Reggie's throwing up right now. We don't need any stinking soundbars. Hey, there's a time and place for everything.
Everything. Is there? Reggie also asked if your products are made in house, right?
He asked that, and also I think differential about the.
Oh, the pre-pro. Are your pre-pros fully differential?
Yeah.
There you go. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Yeah. See, like, these headphones aren't bad. $200 for some open back planar magnetics. It's very reasonable price.
Yeah, dude, if you want to try one out, I can send one to you. But yeah, it was about 3 or 4 years ago when I first heard my first planar, and I was just blown away. I mean, and I was like, just how clean and everything was, and how the bass was just had presence but never
it was there.
And how immersive the sound field was, and how the sound stage in an open back planar just feels like you're at a concert. And I think sometimes with a closed back traditional sort of dynamic driver headphone, like, you don't get that a lot. Even in a closed back planar, you kind of lose a little bit of the sound stage. Of course, you try to tune it to where you lose as little as you can. But there's something special about a planar headphone, just in general, I think. And a lot of planars I've heard, they all kind of have the same characteristics about them.
Sure. That all makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I have a pair of, like, Odysseys, which are closer to $1,000. And, like, if you got something a third the price, I think it's something that's definitely attainable for the, vast majority of people out there looking for a better headphone experience.
What's the price on that, Chana?
$300.
So now
I like the $299 one.
You got to compare that with the KLH, the Beryllium versus the.
Oh yeah,
Have a little shootout right here.
Headphone
around this price point.
I like headphones because I can review them at work. Because I don't. The room doesn't matter. I think one of the big headphone reviewers on YouTube said the same thing. Like, he likes headphones because, as opposed to bookshelf speakers or any kind of speaker, now the room plays, a big factor in the review and what you're hearing. So with headphones, it's easy. And then, I got a graveyard shift. I got 6 hours of nothing to do. So let me just listen to music.
Take up a lot less space too, those boxes, huh?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They're still in the storage unit, but yes.
So the only other thing with the planar is make sure you have a good headphone amp.
Right. Oh, I got this. Where's it? It was right here. Oh. I know you guys probably have some. I know you guys have plenty of headphone amps, but I use this guy because it's nice and portable. And take this with me.
Which one's that?
This is a Cambridge Audio one, the DAC Magic 200M.
Does it have that THX AAA?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It does MQA if that matters to anybody anymore. but but yeah, definitely if you have a halfway decent DAC. I actually even got a DAC from THX like yesterday. The
Oh,
little
is it
on
their little
the little Onyx or
yeah,
whatever.
from Razer?
Yes, Razer and THX. It's a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, I think it's upstairs still, but um I've been rocking an Apogee Groove, which is a little ESS Saber DAC,
Yep.
mostly geared toward music producers and whatever. But I've been using that as well. So there's a lot of ways to get some great portable audio solutions. I haven't looked at your guys' stuff, but
Yeah, we
I
have
know.
a really good THX portable that's got a 4493 DAC in it. Which is THX AAA. That's really nice. We have a couple AAA amps. We also have a couple amps by Alex Cavalli, like the Liquid Platinum, which is a tube-based amp that just sounds, I think, kind of magical. I mean, it's one of those things like where you look at some measurements and you'd be like, oh, the signal noise ratio is only that. But like
Is it this one?
That's the THX that has a couple that's the AAA amp and DAC built in.
Oh, you say it sounds magical?
This one.
Yeah, that one. It's just so musical. Like it just has like I just like the way it makes everything sound, even though depending on what sort of side of the fence you are, like the measures may not be as pristine as one would want, but it is very musical and just sounds great with headphones.
What input is this?
So you would need an outboard DAC to go with it.
This is just a headphone amp.
It's just an amp, yeah. It's balanced, yeah. It actually sounds like it's got a lot more power on the balanced input or output. Sorry.
Thank you, Hassan, for the super chat. Cool. By the way, he says, "Please design a speaker with a high spinorama score."
Yeah, we will try.
Speaker.
Everybody's into spinorama now, as if.
Hey, I think it's cool that it's available to us
now. What I'll tell you about spinorama, and measurements in general. It is very strange when you have even acoustic engineers tell you measurements aren't everything. So when you have an enthusiast community that tells you measurements are everything, they should also listen to. I think we've seen a rise of measurements are definitive and the end all be all of every product last couple of years. And I mean, of course they matter, but sometimes you have to also check out the product too.
Well, it's like saying, my Lamborghini is faster than this Pagani Huayra, which is $3 million, but hey, it's a Pagani Huayra. Even though it's slower, it's a $3 million car, like for a reason, So I don't think measurements are like always the end all be all of a product, especially like audio wise.
Well, I mean, if you look at a subwoofer, for example, I will see people making purchasing decisions. And granted, this actually works into our favor because there isn't a lot of subs out there that will have more output than a Monolith sub. So, but like if I actually see people making purchases decisions off of a dB difference in output, and it's just like because they'll just line up the 20 hertz and go,
And it's
like
the C,
but you cannot hear that. You can't hear that. And I would challenge you, like on a signal noise ratio in your room, you can't hear the difference between minus 120 and even minus 95. You just can't hear it because your room is plus 60. You know what I mean? It's like, how quiet is your room? If your room isn't running at minus 120 itself, which by the way, it isn't, if you just are just if you are a living, breathing organism, your room will have more sound in your room than that. So sometimes you just need to listen to it. And
I think it's just funny because you're like, don't measurements don't matter that much, and you guys are probably like the only ones with like CEA 2010 measurements. So it's kind of funny because this is, I mean, you look at this, like, oh,
they matter, right? They matter.
They matter to a lot of people for sure.
People
and so
over-index on and make it the only reason to buy something, and I think there's a lot of reasons to buy something.
You know what?
But
yeah,
but we do try to be transparent in what we post. So I mean, you'll see any reviewer that measures our product, they'll pretty much line up with our measurements. And outside of, the usual, I mean, who's doing the measuring, there will be variances. I mean, you can't, that'll always happen between like Aaron measures it versus James Larson and Audioholics, depending on the day, the wind, the humidity, and the heat, you will get slightly different measurement variations. Same with, or the equipment they're using. You could get a variance up to 3 or 4 dB sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
I guess I think what we would probably agree on is that you have to know how this really translates in real life, like in a real world scenario. How much difference is that going to make for you? It might not be that noticeable, even though it looks like, ooh, that's a lot
on paper.
On the chart.
Yeah,
So I think that's what you're kind of talking about, is like how much translates to actual experience.
Right. I think sometimes the reviewers and the manufacturers can try to contextualize some of this stuff a lot better than we do. You know what I mean? Sometimes we'll just throw out a number and say, well, it's better because of this, and nobody puts any context around what that means. So
right.
That's everybody. You know what I mean? That's everybody. Like,
hey, it worked in your favor for the THX though. So it's kind of like the same thing. Like, throw this on here, and then I trust it.
Right.
So
well, it's kind of like I said with the subs. I mean, our subs have more output than most of the subs out there for the money, so that works in our favor too. But like with the subwoofers, also like how it looks, and there are distortion numbers and stuff, which are distortions also extremely low too. So
yeah. Well, hey, if you guys want to talk to Hobie, hopefully you'll be able to hang out for a little bit. Don't leave this chat. If you can, I'm gonna leave a link to that to the backstage VIP area for Monolith. I don't know what we put it under.
Or movies, whatever you want to talk about.
Movies.
So, whoops.
Are you gonna put it in the private chat so Hobie can see it in there?
Yes. Trying to look for it.
But yeah, Hobie, we appreciate people like you that are trying to not only like designers, but enthusiasts trying to get better products on the market for other enthusiasts. Like that's a huge deal, I like that.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So I'm going to leave a link here if you want to talk to Hobie. If he has time, no promises. But if he has a few minutes, I'd appreciate it. I'm sure these guys would appreciate it. I'll leave a link down here.
Yeah, I can hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. Is this our only seminar for today? It is, right?
This is it. This is it until tomorrow. So easy day. Got to sleep in a little bit. Hobie, anything else you want to add? I forgot to ask. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, just thanks for listening to my nonsense, and hopefully we keep putting out some good stuff.
I love it.
I'm sure you
love
will.
it. Love it. One of the easiest seminars. The whole summit.
He said no agenda. I was like, yes.
Sweet.
Let's just talk.
Sweet. Yeah, we just chat.
Which only means I'm probably doing this wrong. That's all that means, right? It's like,
no. You're probably doing it right.
Chana's awake. Chana's awake.
Yes.
He's not doing the.
Exactly. So yes. So that does it for our seminars on day 4, HiFi Summit 2021 Q2. Make sure you join up tomorrow. What is it, Joe? 10 a.m. tomorrow?
I'd have to look. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow's going to be a busy day.
Unfortunately, I won't be here. Missing out on a lot of stuff. But hey, things happen. Anyway, for those of you wanting to talk to Hobie, join us in the VIP chat in just a few minutes. Hobie, don't press any buttons.
I won't.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.